Hi, everyone. This is episode 5 of the re of the Queens of R&B. Now, I have okay, I have watched it's been a week since the last episode, and we have now listened. I have so much has happened within the week. Oh my gosh. So Tasha has given an apology cry. Last week, I came here and I specifically stated that if Tasha doesn't stop this, you're going to force Tamika to show all of the receipts. Now, I wasn't sure how they were going to do the receipts because was she going to be as explicit by showing addresses? I was just trying to figure out how she was going to do this. But it appeared that she did. She showed addresses. And I'm hoping that it's not the current address because that where anybody of her family resides, because that'd be awkward. But she showed detailed receipts, right? And then we have a few days later, we have um, um gosh, what do we have? What do we have next? We had a Tasha apology. No, she didn't do the apology first. She went on the radio. Yes, she did. With the Ricky Smiley, and that was embarrassing. And the thing that was frustrated me so much is that, and it's a very good example, is that Ricky is that she went on the Ricky Smiley show and she did it because she was probably thinking that nobody here would be as caught up into the day to day of what is happening on the reality show because, it's not necessarily their thing. Ricky Smiley's probably definitely not watching the thing, but watching a reality show. But the problem is the outlier that they weren't thinking about is Debrat. Or maybe they thought they had something on Debrat, which is could be because it's clearly this is how Rocky operates is I got something on you, so I'm going to get you to uh respond to me positively, which would make sense because when she made because there was a part where Rocky, sorry, where Rocky was like, you know me, and instantly Debrat was like, I don't know you, and instantly it was a buck. She bucked up in such a huge instant where it was like, wow, Debrat. I mean, first of all, she's pregnant. And I'm gonna let you know right now that especially when that second and third trimester hit, you're cranky. I don't care how pleasant you could be. There's parts of you that are pleasant, but at the end of the day, you are cranky as all get out. And so you're like, you are not going to be willing to negotiate with the BS. And so when she's like, I don't know you, I know of you. And he tried to make that perfectly clear. Like, I don't know how your business is dealing. I don't want to be connected to and I can understand where Debrat is coming from in this point because um she's from Chicago. When that whole thing went down with R. Kelly and now that was coming out, a lot of people uh, not only felt that they had to distance themselves, but they wanted to kind of clarify. And the Brat took a hit on that R. Kelly fiasco, if you guys don't remember, because the Brat was one of the last people to be like um saying, you know, saying anything against R. Kelly. She definitely was like, we need to give she was very slow in response. She got criticized for that. And So my point is that what she does not want to be dealt with is she probably knows a lot more around the way. And here's the next, and she's like, I'm not getting caught up in this. Number two, so she wants no insinuation. You know me. I don't know what that means. Let's clear this up right now. Another thing that I don't understand about Latasha is why go on a show specifically with the brat there. The brat came through the same, came through Jermaine Dupri. Her and Jermaine Dupri are closer than, white on rice. So there is zero possibility that she's absolutely going to side with the aspect of someone who did not smear his name. And Tasha and Tamika absolutely did smear Jermaine Dupri's name by making all those accusations against Kandi. See, this is the problem when people make accusations against a woman, talking about trying to demean the woman by slut shaming her. You got to remember that there is another party that is involved in the slut shaming. It's the other person, the other dude or woman, the other person that they're supposed to be slutting it up with. There's an effect. You may be trying to target the one person that you're trying to smear, but there is an effect, not just in their life, in the woman's life, but there's an effect on the dude or the other party, whoever the other party is. And in this case, it's Jermaine Dupri. So the thing that Tasha has to remember is that it is pretty clear, and Tasha tried to check DeBrat by trying to explain how I was there for you. I treated you respectfully. What are you trying to say? You mean that you're not supposed to treat people respectfully? Clearly, you're supposed to treat people respectfully. But you know why you're not treating people respectfully? You're trying to insinuate that because of who she is and the insinuations of who she was, because we all know that the brat back in the day used to date Allen Iverson, but there was insinuations that the brat was gay, just like there was insinuations about Missy being gay. So there's all these rumors that were taking place. There are insinuations of who was messing around with who back in the day. Right? So there are all of these insinuations that are taking place, innuendos that took place in the 90s and early 2000s. And so and Debrat checked that. She's like, yes, but I also know how I was there when you mistreated Kandi. I was present, not only physically on tour with you people, but I was also watch the show. The thing that I found very fascinating about this is that in 2023, the brat is married to a woman and she is standing in her truth. Who cares what she was doing back in the 90s and who she was with and who innuendos that you're trying to play? So what I gathered from that whole interview on the Ricky Smiley show was this. You need to be a good person. And if you're not a good person, especially to people on your way up, of course, all of us are going to have some bad days. We're not going to be as nice as we could be. But for you to be consistently not a good person on your way up, people don't remember the good in you. So you can say, she was really nice. She had that grumpy moment. That's different than you being a nasty person. And now you are trying to pull a victim card constantly, right? On to people saying, oh no, Kandi's the bad person. I'm gonna let you. It's a problem when most people can say Kandi's a cool person. And you are one of the very few people that only has bad things to say about her. Because then it stands out with like, is it Kandi the problem or is it you? Because it's very difficult for people to find positive things to say about you. More so it's, oh, we've had to tolerate this. And now, no mas. Now, Tasha's biggest argument is if this happened, which it did, she took the money 10 years ago, then why is it that you waited all this time to do so? I have an answer for that. And I'm going to give another story. My line sisters love her to death. We're not on the best of terms. We're not on bad terms, actually. But for years, she would do little things. We'd go to club. In my college days, we partied, and I always kept cash, even to this day. She'd only keep a card. Now, you may think that that's not a bad issue, but I'm going to explain to you. In the year of our Lord 2001, 2002, because I pledged in 2000, we pledged in 2001. Nobody, there was no Apple Pay, there was no Apple phone. Nobody was paying a credit card for club entry. It was a cash only thing, situationship. Right now, it's like, I haven't been to a club, but I can only imagine that they would have like an Apple Pay reader or something in today's day and age. But at that time, this stuff was a cash only situationship. And I'd be like, we going out consistently, we going out. So why do you never keep cash? Now, once, fine. Twice, okay. 15 times, ma'am. Or I'll give it to you back. Never got a dime back. And then it was, can you pay my, I think I paid a couple of bills. And granted, it's not a lot of money. It's a couple $100. And it was, I'll pay you back. And I was like, yeah, sure. I don't want you to, I don't want the price to keep going up. So it was not a big deal. I paid it, whatever. Never got the money back. Asked her once, asked her twice, never got the money back. And so I just let it go. And it was little things. With the guys I dated, I'd be like, oh, he's cute. Next thing I know, she's with him. Like it was the constant little itty bitty things. Then there's little bigger things that took place. And then it was the smallest thing that I should have blew up at. It was so little. I kid you not. It was a little itty bitty thing. And I flipped out. And then the other girls, the other ladies, even my dean and my other line sisters were like, Liz, chill. I was like, if we didn't pledge together, I wouldn't F with you. And you take me for granted, and do you think I'm ugly because you did this? I went off. And we tried. It passed it. And we're good. We're good. We're good. Seriously, we're good. But we were never as close. And the thing is, I say this to say that that blow up that she had at her mother's house, I think, was the years of, I put my career on hold for you. I did this for you. Like, I pretty much dead my career for you because I sided with you. I sided with you and I know you were wrong. You left me. Supposed to do this deal together with this gospel thing. It didn't work out because come to find out you did it behind my back because you wanted to cut me out the money. You've put me down saying that you're the voice and I'm not a good singer, not that good of a singer. You've 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 constantly nitpicked, nitpicked. I've probably even approached you about the money. Clearly, she did approach her about the money privately because when she specifically was said, our mother didn't stand up for me when you stole my money. That is clearly, we've addressed this before. And your mother said, the money's not about you. And so the money's not for you. The money is for, your sister may need it more. So they've approached the topic before. I believe it's been as detailed, but Latasha is playing the I don't know what you're talking about game. And the problem with I don't know what you're talking about is because you are a proven liar and your credibility is shot to kingdom come because you're not a good person. You have not treated people well. And so people don't believe you. And then here's the thing. Your demeanor on this show capitalizes, and even the last show, but the last show, it wasn't as bad. It feels like this show is, you know why? I'm gonna tell you why. The last show was not as bad for her because they were much more appreciative to get the crew back. Because if you got the 4 back and you're appreciative to get the 4 back, and you're appreciative for Kandi to get back, because then that based on, first of all, you got a show. So you're getting an extra check because you got the show because of Kandi. And then you're going to go on tour with Kandi, and she's only going to do it if the money makes sense. So you can see the possibilities. So yeah, you guys are making money, but in your head, you're making a lot more money. That pauses me to go to the speak on it that Kandi had with Tiny. Kandi and Tiny were talking, and Tiny was trying to bring up, first of all, Tiny is hilarious. Anyway, Tiny was trying to bring up why would Tasha even suggest you coming back on the show? She was just like, girl, we making money without Kandi. Why we need Tiny? Why we need Kandi when we're already making money? We don't need her. And that means that we're going to be making less money if we bring back Kandi, right? That's what's her thing. Because now we have to break it up into 4 instead of 3. Well, the reason for this, and that was the last show, right, is to bringing back the 4. The reason why you brought back the 4 is because of the end of this episode. The end of this episode, I got all my notes. The end of this episode, we got, Lord Jesus, we got the 4 escape members come together and they all sitting around looking at each other. And Tiny was like, okay, let's get started. Let's get this going. I love me some Tiny. Anyway, Tiny's like, let's get this going. We got this. So what we talking about? What we here for? And they're like, so where you want to start? Whatever. Let's get this on and popping. I'm gonna be honest. I think that, and it is perfectly clear, and I think that Tiny can deal with a lot. And it's clear that Tiny can deal with a lot because of her personality. She lets a lot of things roll off her back. She can kind of make a joke, so she's not that she's invested, but she's not so invested that she's not going to be so argumentative about it. She's going to try to find a way forward, right? But I'm going to tell you the one space that you can clearly not get to Tiny. And I think they, clearly we all know that you can't mess with our kids. I get that. And it is clear that Tamika, isn't this interesting? Pause here. Isn't it interesting that not Tamika, isn't it interesting that Tocha and Rocky has not tried to go after T.I.? Because it would make, I mean, you can go after Kandi and you can go after Kandi's husband and make allegations about Kandi's husband. But isn't T.I. the low-hanging fruit here that you can Tiny and T.I. are the low-hanging fruit. And Tiny, when Rocky did that phone call with Tocha, the other Tocha, the Tocha K, they clearly made it like the joke was kind of that something was going on with Tiny too, but they didn't say anything about what would be with Tiny. And so it's kind of fascinating that in all of this, T.I.'s name ain't not ne'er mentioned, not ne'er nowhere, when he's the one who has the scandal. And they could definitely go after him. But anyway, my point to all of that is Kandi's like, look, there is some situationships that's taking place right now. And it's perfectly clear that Tiny is the one who's like, I can forgive you all the way up to you can't mess with her husband. I get that. And you can't mess with my money. And it's fascinating because Tiny's like, if you owe me $100, look, if Escape makes $100, I want my $25. And you know what? I'm not mad at her. I'm not mad at her for that. Because I'd want my $20. Because in the scam of and I say $20, and I know they're making more than $20, but in the realm of things, let's think about this. How much money Tiny has, and with T.I., I can guarantee. I mean, they're fighting. I mean, the 20 grand, 5 grand. That's not a lot of money, but she's like, look, I want my 20. And so so the fact that Tamika's like, this is a business meeting. This is a business meeting. And she passed out papers to every single body. Yes, she did. She's like, all of you are about to get copies of these text messages that were enlarged to the nth degree, because we're going to have a conversation about the money that has been taken from me. And I was like, oh my God. So they're getting kickbacks. And she's like, so you gonna believe the text messages? Tasha, that ain't the way, Sway. If you're trying to make people believe that you had no involvement, then saying you believe these text messages ain't the way. Because nobody has the time and energy, and what's the motivation? So let's run this out. What would be the motivation for faking these text messages? I'll wait. What? Why would the promoter lie and fake compile text messages. Ma'am, you stole from the group. And I just can't. And it is as clear as freaking day. Now, interestingly enough, Kandi in the speak on it with Tiny said that they have heard these allegations over the years. The difference between then and now is this: they have evidence. I was like, well, that is the difference. The difference between then and 2022 is that they now have evidence. They have absolute text messages showing that he is getting kickbacks. The motivation for bringing Kandi back in is because certain promoters did not want to see all three. They wanted to see specifically four, and they wanted to bring them all together. And that is how they were going to get money. If you bring all four together, then you're going, Latasha, you make good and you start apologizing to Kandi so y'all can come together as four. So in the last TV show. So y'all can make some, so we can get some kickbacks on this. And she did. So I'm going to say in the Diana Ross comment, when they were talking about the dress, so it's funny how SWV shades Escape by looking like, I don't want to say sluts, because that's really harsh. But their designer also designs stripper outfits. And Lily was like, this looks like Magic City. And Tiny was like, look, y'all in some overalls and and some boots. Like, and Tiny's idea is that after the show that they did together, that they feel that Escape increased and upped SWV's value when it comes to showmanship. And they took lessons from them versus SWV took lessons from Escape. And they feel like after doing all of this, they took no lessons from SWV. I was like, look, I'm not even going to be rude about this. And it's fascinating. And I think that there's a level of truth. I was watching, no, Kandi on Twitter has been pretty active. And she was just like, you guys expect us not to support ourselves and to talk good about ourselves. And you find that to be disrespectful. And I think that that's a good point. I think that they should have pride in their group, and their group does things in a much different way than SWV does. And that's I don't think that's a shade or anything. It's just a fact. And so I think that that's fair. SWV doesn't dress that way. I'm not sure if people, I'm assuming SWV is like in their 50s, early 50s, late 50s. No, early 50s, maybe late 40s or so. I'm not sure if how people want to see them on stage. And also, SWV has never been projected as sexy in the same way that Escape at one point pivoted. And it's just an overall different thing. Anyway, so in the midst of Escape and SWV shading each other, we have a comment from Escape about members of Escape talking about, well, I don't know why we asking Latasha what she's gonna wear, because Latasha does her own thing, like she's Diana Ross, and so it's that Diana Ross comment again, and she makes a comment, and it appears that she embraces the notion of being considered a Diana Ross, and I was like, I don't think that they're referencing Diana Ross in this instance as a positive. Ma'am, do you realize that that's not a positive state? That this is actually meant to be a shade? To be like, you are treating us like you're above us? Like, do you not realize that? But she was just like, if it fits, I was just like, see, you make it very hard to defend. Um, with that being said, Tamika and Tasha talked and they felt that that was useful. I thought it was mm, clearly that was nothing. And interestingly enough, Kandi and Tiny talked about that in their speak on it, about the apology and how they felt. And Tiny was diplomatic by being like, I thought the apology she said to me about me was legit. And she's like, but the rest of that was BS. Hey, she also made a point about her mom, that she really didn't want her mom to get in the middle of this. And I can understand that. Her mom is definitely a sweetheart, and she was completely honest, and it made it completely awkward because in the apology, I mean, it's very difficult. You're gonna call um somebody's mama a liar. It's not the way to go. Not the way to go. Anyway, they had the whole tryouts. Taj was dancing, which was really kind of cute and fun. Kandi was not there. SWV had a whole talk. I'm gonna let you know. Taj came up and was talking to and was doing the rah 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 by saying, how they talk about it. They're talking about us and being like, that she put 10 on 20. And I was like, they didn't quite say that you guys did not bring value. I mean, you didn't say all that. You putting up too much on it, but that's how you felt. And the best part about that whole scene is when Coco's like, oh, no, no, no. It was Coco and Taj. They kind of collectively agreed, oh, no, 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 no. The only person who's obligated to kiss Kandi and Tiny's behind is you. There you go. Now, I feel away only because I do think that Tamika is in a rock and a hard place. Not amongst her sister and Kandi and Tiny, but she's really in a rock and a hard place because people don't look at her as being highly valued, right? To this group. It was always those three and then Tamika. Now that Tasha's gone, well, I take it back. It was Kandi and Tiny that was giving Tamika a space to grow, right? That was taking a place to grow. Now, why do my kids and my husband have to be so loud though? Anyway, Tiny and Kandi are giving Tamika a place to grow and to come into herself, right? And I love the fact that they're doing that for her because she clearly needs that. She needs to feel that she's valuable to the group. All these years, I don't think that she has felt that she was as valuable, especially when she got pregnant and they were like, so what we doing with this right here, right? And her sister has definitely not treated her as valuable. She treated her like a lapdog. And now that she's standing up for herself, it's a sense of guilt that she's implying that she feels. And then on top of all of that, now we're stuck in a new aspect that I'm really enjoying is that Tamika is now singing in a space, and she's singing, and the three of them sound good, and now you're getting to see the value of Tamika. And I appreciate that. I love this for her. I want this for her. I'm excited for her. So there's that. With all of that being said, I think it's exciting. I'm excited. We're all excited for her. And um it seems like she's feeling stronger and independent of herself. And you know what I think? She needs to do this not just for her, but she needs to do this because she's a mother. And her daughters are looking towards her. Tiny and her daughters are all talking. It's funny, it's cute. Enjoyed it. Um Last week, Tasha said she wasn't coming to soundcheck. She does come to soundcheck. And Tiny makes a comment on the episode. It was a good show. She came to soundcheck, it was a good show. Tiny made a comment, and it was clear that Tiny was like, look, she was not really eager to come back to the show and deal with Escape, because she's like, I'm gonna put all my energy into it. I'm gonna put all this into it. I'm gonna get so into everything. I'm gonna go gung ho. And as soon as we get a lot of traction and everything's going well, Tasha's gonna bounce. She's gonna use me and you to launch her single career. She's gonna stab us in the back, launch her career, act like we aren't value. And Tiny's like, well, she was right. Here we are. And I love the title of this episode, right? Sisters with Choices, because that's essentially what happened. Now I'm gonna comment that Lily is talking about the guilt that she has as a mother for going on tour a lot. And I think that granted, I'm not missing that much of my kid's life, but I think this is a plight of every working mother, especially when your kids are really young and you're not necessarily there as much. And the positive thing is that sometimes when they're really young, you can kind of take them with you into a lot of spaces. But then on the other half, it's like, are they really having a childhood? Because I can tuck them in my pocket and take them with me. So I think that's legit. They're arguing about the set list, and I think that at the end of the day, Escape needs to open because SWV needs to close. Because Weak is a better song. And I'm gonna be honest. That's all I have to say about that, because I am so tired of hearing about that. The only reason why I'm not tired of talking about the Latasha situation is because every single episode, it's a new caveat about Tasha that we're discovering. So it's not like, even though it's the same person, it's a new dissecting part of this story that is like, oh my gosh. But the argument between Escape and SWV seems to be redundant. We all know that SWV has bigger hits. And Lily was right. If we want to talk about followers and whose followers are much more important and blah, 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 she's like, then you should have had sold 90 million copies of your song. And I was like, okay. Kandi makes a comment about, in her speak on it, that Tasha's having an emotional breakdown. And I think that is legit. But see, the only reason why she's not sympathetic, and I do think that it's important to always acknowledge that people are having these emotional breakdowns, etc. But the only reason why it's hard to, I empathize, but I do not sympathize, because you can't treat people wrong. And even in your apology, if that was an apology, then you can't, you know what, you can't lie in an apology. And what are you apologizing to the fans? You weren't really apologizing to people stealing the money, talking about, I don't know. Yes, you do. I just found out when everybody else found out. How was that possible? Were you not present during the filming, or was it a body double? How is it that your mom knows what what she's talking about and you don't? Like, just stop. Stop. I think what you're upset about is the possibility that your album, which comes out on Friday, and it's fascinating because everybody's still saying, please stream the album. Even with all this, we support it, please stream the album. At the end of the day, there's no trust. And what's so interesting about Tiny, because Kandi asked Tiny, do you think that we're going to be able to get back together? And Tiny's like, hold that thought. Now, what you asking? And she's like, you think we're going to be able to get back together? I don't see how. Because nobody trusts you. If I said the sky is blue, if you said the sky is blue, I'd be like, I don't know. Let me go check. It's unfortunate, but you can't trust her. Now, with all that being said, Tasha K came out. Yeah, she did. Because Tasha K came out, and now Rocky's making allegations that she did the wrong thing, and that now he's going to have a federal case against Tasha K about his recording. And I was just like, okay, so Tasha K is a nut. She had a torn up Bible in her video talking about the issue. And there's another woman out there that has insinuated that this dude has dated Kandi first. Kandi made it clear they hadn't dated, they didn't have sex, nothing. There was nothing between them but just a friendship. This is a lot. And I'm going to tell you that this is not getting better. And next episode is going to be worse. And we're watching the end of Escape as we know it. It is I don't see how Tasha can get back in. The only way that Tasha can get back in is she would have to divorce her husband. And she would have to be honest and tell everyone, I'm sorry, and she needs to start handing out checks. Other than that, I don't see a path forward, because there's no way that I'm going to be able to have dealings with her knowing that you are lying and conniving behind my back. I can't. So I hope that you have a real coming to Jesus moment, because you need one. And I wish everyone success with their endeavors. And I'll be here next week to talk about the next case and the last of this, because it's so much drama. Thank you for being patient with me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and pass along.